right. Welcome, everybody, to UFM Presents Interview with Luis Perez. That is right. The Spring King, the King of Spring, finally got him nailed down and got him on this show. Luis, how are you doing?
Doing great, Ace. Appreciate you having me.
Oh, I appreciate you coming on. This has been a while in the making. You know, you announced your book on Pro Football Newsroom. You went over there around the UFL. Now this is your first official book tour stop. Are you excited? What made now time for a book?
Yeah, I just think if you just go back and look at my story, from a childhood all the way up until now, I think the story just has to be told. There's too much valuable lessons throughout the way that, can impact millions of people, I think, in my opinion. So I just felt like this was the right time, launching it right before the UFL season. And again, hopefully I touch some lives.
Well, I'm excited. I'm hoping it a copy as soon as it comes out. You can see behind me, I have Football for a Buck, Jeff Pearlman book about the original USFL way back in the day.
Nice,
Hoping to replace that in my background, Spring King. So hoping to get me a
nice,
copy.
nice.
Very excited. My first question is about the book. A lot of people know your story. You've done a lot of those, little minute get to know me as a player things when it comes to all of the spring football league. Been in when it comes to training camp. But what do you think is going to surprise your fans when they read the book? Something that even the biggest Luis Perez fans that don't know you like personally would be surprised about.
Yeah, I just think people they assume I went through adversity, but they don't really know what adversity is until they read my book. There's just a lot of stuff in there in, how I dealt with certain situations at certain times, right? It's never easy going through adversity, but, one of the things I talk about in my book is like the process of like dealing with adversity, right? And, the three phases, right? It's the adversity part, right? And then it's the emotion that comes after, and then it's the action, right? So I just kind of talk about how early in my career, I kind of stayed in that middle stage, that emotional phase too long.
Okay.
And it kind of took me down a rabbit hole. And again, the longer you're in it, it's harder to get out. So, like, something that I talk about is, hey, if I were to tell my young self, like, hey, how to deal with certain things is don't stay in that middle stage. Like, you can completely skip that stage. The moment you hit some form of adversity, you could just skip the middle stage of emotion and just continue to action, right? Obstacle, okay, what's the problem? Turn the page. How am I going to fix it? And, put action on it. So, again, that's just something I talk about. And like I said, the adversity part of everything I went through, again, I think can impact a lot of people.
Well, that's really cool because that is not something that they fit into the little minute there before the Renegades game. So I think that's going to be really cool to see more on a personal level what football's been to you, uh, all of the struggles getting through COVID, going from not playing in high school, those kinds of things. Those are really inspirational, especially for people who may find themselves in that same adversity because it's a little niche. And so sometimes you feel like you don't have someone to look up to or talk to about that kind of situation because you're like, I don't know if anybody's ever been in this. But when you have, it's really cool that you can now read your book. Hey, I'm not alone. But something that a lot of people do with adversity, that when they reach adversity, whether they're doing some kind of task, they're trying to learn something, you go to YouTube. They go to YouTube to try and learn how to get past that adversity. And the Luis Perez lore is that when you didn't play football through high school, you realized you wanted to, and you went on to YouTube to learn how to be a quarterback because you said, all I know how to throw a spiral.
That's
What
right.
was that like? How much did you actually learn from those YouTube videos? And do you still know where they are? And we could link them in the bio after the show.
That's a great question. So I would say this from the moment that I was in the stands in high school, my senior year, and I'm watching my buddies run through the tunnel, and I'm like, man, full body chills. Why am I up here in the stands? I need to be down there, playing football. That was the moment I decided, hey, I need to, play quarterback. But I didn't know, kind of what to do or what route to take at that point because it's a senior year of high school. I didn't play any football. I'm like, what's next, right? You don't really know what to do. So my first instinct was just, hey, let me hit YouTube. So I just started watching videos on like the basic fundamentals on how to just throw the football. Like again, like you said, I only know how to throw a tight spiral. That's it. I didn't know anything else. So I started learning mechanics and how to throw the ball and arm angles. And, I remember just sitting there, okay, a C, not a U. And, just little videos like that. And then it kind of progressed to, okay, now let me learn the game. And then it progressed to like, okay, coverages, fronts, route concepts. Oh, this drop goes with this route. This coverage, it's not very good against this route combination, or, different things like that. And yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how it started. And then after that, it morphed to like watching highlights of just Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Brady, Manning, all these guys. And again, it was like an obsession, man. Like I felt like I was so far behind the eight ball that I had to do everything possible in my power to catch up to all these guys that played 4 years in high school.
Do you think that the hunger and the kind of fear that you were so far behind helped you progress quickly and get to the point that you were up there playing Division II, beating out 9 other quarterbacks at your first college, and going on to A&M Commerce and starting? Do you think that the hunger, the fear, do you think that really played into it a bit?
Definitely. I've always had that mentality from the moment I decided to pursue football. I knew I was behind the eight ball, so I knew that had a lot of catching up to do. So I took that mentality to this day. I mean, that's still something that I think about. Like, dang, am I so far behind? Which I may not be at this point, right? I played 7 years of pro football, but I still have that mentality of like, there's so much more to learn. Like to me, you can't ever reach your full potential, right? Like it's never ending. You can continue to grow and be the best version of yourself. So there's always something to improve on. And even Tom Brady, like he has stuff he could work on, right? And he's obviously the greatest of all time. So that's just the mindset I take and try to just implement it to day-to-day life and try to improve on something every single day. Whether it's, on the field or off the field, or how to communicate with my teammates, or just how to get the best out of them. As a quarterback too, it's not just what you do on the field, but it's also like how you get all your teammates to rally in one direction and communicate with them to get the best out of them, right? Because again, quarterbacks are nothing without skill position, offensive lineman, defense. I mean, it's the ultimate team game. So again, I just want to improve in all aspects, and that's what I try to do every day.
I like that you brought up the moment in high school where you were in the stands and you saw all your buddies running. I don't know, because I actually had a question about that. It wasn't my next one, but you segued me too perfectly to not ask it now. You said that when you watched them run through the tunnel, you got chills. You said, I need to be down there. You've said 7 years professional football. That's a lot of football. You'll get those chills when you run through the tunnel over at Choctaw Stadium in the Arlington Renegades jersey.
Oh yeah, no, there's so much excitement, and like every time I go on the field, there's just a sense of excitement of like, man, like I want to go out there and just play. I mean, it's just so much fun to go out there and play with your guys, teammates, play with one another. Like it's just a feeling. Unless you play football, you don't understand that feeling. The locker room, like it's just a phenomenal feeling, and I'm gonna keep playing till the wheels fall off. I mean, that's my goal. I'm just gonna keep playing ball. I'm having too much fun. My family's having too much fun. And again, right, there's something between like chills and then excitement and then there's nerves, right? There's different type of emotions. And one thing with me is I don't ever really get nervous. Even
It's
since my
very
junior
lucky.
college days. Like to me, when people get nerves, to me it's lack of preparation. Like if you're prepared and you trust your process that you've done all week and all off season, and you're ready to put everything that you did right in that, whatever time, a year, whatever, how many years it's been, to go out on that field and produce. I mean, there's no reason to be nervous, as long as you trust the process. Now excitement, yes. Like man, like I want to hurry up and play the game. Like even now we're what 2.5 weeks out from camp, and I'm already like, man, come on, like let's go. Like I want to go to bed already so we can wake up and just hurry up and get to camp. So that's just the mindset.
Well, I promise you, all of us spring football fans and podcasters, everybody in the community, we are just as excited as you are. We love watching you out. But before we get into spring football, you're the spring king. We got lots to talk about. I want to take it back to your days at Texas A&M Commerce. You didn't play in high school, went and walked on at your first school. Then you went over to A&M Commerce, and you win the Harlan Hill Award and the national championship. But I have a cool story. So when I first started covering spring football back in USFL season 1, when the draft happened, I was tweeting about it, stuff like that. And my best friend who played college football, he gave me a call after the draft. And I was like, what's up? He goes, hey, you're interviewing players and stuff with you. Oh, right. I said, yeah. That you need to get this dude, Luis Perez, on. And while we are 4 years late to that, we did get you here. But he said
Wow.
he played at Tarleton State University. Said this guy is the truth. Let me tell you a story. We were playing them last game of the season. Said if they lost Texas A&M Commerce, they were going to be knocked out of the playoffs. That was like our whole goal that game is we wanted to knock them out. That if they made it into the playoffs by beating us, they were going to be last seed. If they didn't beat us, they were out. It goes last drive of the game. They're driving it down. Clock is running out. We get them to a fourth down. We think, all right, we're in a great position. We're about to knock them out. And that they were back at like the 20, 25-ish. And instead of going for the sticks, his coaches knew he was so good that they let Luis Perez throw for the end zone. And they caught it in the corner of the end zone, won, went on to be the last seed in the playoffs, took it all the way to the chip, and won the national championship. This is a guy you need.
That's awesome.
How much of that is true?
That is very true. I remember that game like it was yesterday. They were a really good football team. And again, we're driving late in the game, and it was like 4th and 2 or 3, and we had called some switch sail concept, and they took the underneath route thinking I was going to go short, and we had a guy in the back of the end zone and threw it and scored. So that's funny he remembers that. Good times.
He was like, this guy, man. Because Carlton, they had some playoff runs and everything, but he loved, true football fiend, loved following Division II, would watch all the playoff games. So he knew your career well. And it brought me to another question. Say that play goes different. Say you do throw it for the underneath route. It gets blocked. You guys are knocked out of the playoffs. How different do you think your career would have progressed if that had happened? No playoffs. I don't know if that would have affected the Harlan Hill Award, but you definitely wouldn't have won a championship. How different do you think your career would look? Say that one play went different.
Yeah, no, I'm not here talking to you today. And I can say that confidently because, I mean, if you just think about my career, I did everything I possibly could. I won a national championship and won the Harlan Hill Trophy. And I didn't even get drafted. I didn't even go undrafted. I got invited to a local tryout 2 weeks after the draft. I wouldn't have got that if I'm not the Harlan Hill winner or I'm a national champion. There's no way I would have got that. They would have given it to someone else. So I'm very fortunate. A lot of things have to go right for you to score in college and pro football. So I'm very fortunate that play went the way it went, and we ended up scoring and getting in the playoffs.
I'll tell you, my friend was not the happiest about it because then he went back home to Stephenville. Not that much going on in Stephenville, so he really would have loved the playoffs. But it created a fantastic football story and now a book, Spring King, coming out later in March. Let's talk about spring football from the Spring King. You have been in pretty much every single spring league since the AAF. Let me see if I can name them all. We're on the Birmingham Iron, then the LA Wildcats, got traded to the LA Guardians, then you were on the Jousters, then you went to the Generals, you went to the Vipers, now the Renegades.
Yep. Nope, that's right.
Ooh, I have been practicing that. That is a hard thing to say. You have a lot of teams. That's a lot of teams.
For sure.
Not only were you on at least one team for those leagues, you got traded in 2 of those leagues. So the first question I had was Vipers to Arlington Renegades. You went in, you were on Rod Woodson's team, the Las Vegas Vipers. They were having pretty bad season up until that point, and then you get traded. It was kind of a shocking trade because they traded their starting quarterback, sent him over to Arlington. Arlington was not having a fantastic season either. And then you go over there and get into the playoffs, take them to the championship. From your perspective as a player, I don't think we've heard your side and what it was like getting traded. Know about it? Were you a part of the talks? Did it just kind of happen? Tell us that story from the Luis Perez side.
Yeah, so I'll say this. When we got knocked out of the playoffs, where we were eliminated with the Vipers, there was a decision that was made to get people film. And they were going to go in a different direction. Now, my agent had reached out to me because he already knew before me. So he already knew what was going on. He had, there was some communication with him and general manager of the Renegades, something. I don't know what exactly went down. But I remember just waking up the next day and getting a call from Coach Woodson that, there was some some interest there with the Renegades and trying to make something happen. So that day went by, and they ended up pulling the trigger. They made it happen and made the trade. So it was one of those things where, it was bittersweet, right? I love my guys with the Vipers and I enjoyed my time there. We were eliminated from the playoffs. I knew I wasn't going to play anymore there. So it was kind of bittersweet. Want to be with my guys there. But again, everything worked out how it was supposed to. And obviously, glad I got traded.
And it worked out well. The Vegas Vipers, not a lot of good things were happening around that team. A lot of things with the field, that kind of stuff. Now they don't exist. So jumped onto a good ship that made it through that storm that was the merge. But I talked about all those teams you've been on. You've been in all those leagues, AAF, ESL, XFL. From your perspective, what have you seen with the evolution of these leagues? And what do you think is a main part of the growth? What do you think is the most important thing that they need to focus on for these leagues?
I think the development of the players. I just think that, to me, this league should or might end up being like a feeder league to the NFL, right? If you just look at, the NBA, right? They have the G League. You look at the MLB, they have the minor league. This is kind of it, right? Even though I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with the NFL and the UFL, I don't get into that, but I just think the development of the players just keep improving football because there's so many people that are on the streets that can play football, that can play on Sundays. And the more you can showcase with the more talent, your play becomes more viable and more credible, and you're able to kind of pitch it to the NFL, which that's everyone's dream, right? As a kid, you don't grow up wanting to play in the UFL, right? You talk about playing in the NFL. But no, it's honestly, God is good, man. I mean, every year I've just been able to play in another league. When I get my shot in the NFL, it doesn't end up working out, and then leagues just keep popping up, and I'm just able to continue to play. It's a blessing, and I just think they're going to continue. I think Russ, Daryl, all those guys, they're doing a great job, and then obviously Danny and Dwayne. I mean, all those guys are doing a great job, and I just think it's going to keep evolving and just keep getting better every year.
And you brought up the talent. In your opinion, has the talent been getting better? The talent growing? Or do you think back when you got in the AAF, Birmingham Iron team that it could take on the Arlington Renegades? What's your opinion?
Yeah, that's hard to answer because every year I'm also getting better in my opinion. So even if the leagues were getting better, right, it's really hard to tell because I'm also getting better. So if you're asking me, honestly, I think, the Birmingham Iron had a great football team, and, Arlington Renegades also have a great football team. And to me, there's not that much of a difference between both of them. Now, obviously, right now, if you put myself with, the Birmingham Iron and you put myself with the Renegades, I'm a whole different player. So I just think that all around they're all good, but I just think they are increasing the level of competition every year because, again, the more relevant you become, all these guys that were in the NFL that want to get their shot back in the NFL, they're starting to actually pay attention to these spring leagues versus back then. I don't know if that was a thing. Guys just wanted to jump into a spring league because it was kind of a brand new thing.
I agree. That is interesting. What is a player's intention? Are they coming in because they just want to play ball, or are they coming in specifically do want to get back to the NFL? Which is part of my next question. You had brought up Tom Brady earlier, and to some people, you are the Tom Brady of spring football. You're the journeyman. You've played for a very long time, seemingly only getting better as you go. And my question is, with spring football growing, let's say that these leagues progress in the next few years to the point where the players and coaches are getting much more money. It's more comparable to an NFL salary. Would you be comfortable with being a staple of spring football and just finishing the rest of your career playing till you're 40 in the UFL?
Absolutely. I love playing. There's nothing like it, and going from starting 7 years in pro football, I'm going to be honest, it's a little different having to go into an NFL team and, you're sitting in the back and you're just waiting for your turn. You get 2 or 3 throws, right? Different when you're leading the guys, you're leading the charge, you're getting all the reps, you're leading meetings. And I mean, it's it's a different ball game that you got to get, mentally prepared for. But yeah, definitely. I mean, especially if they increase the pay and all that. I mean, I just think that it'll be a great thing. Now, like if you ask me now, would you rather take a practice squad spot or playing the UFL? I'll take the UFL all day. Now, a backup spot, that's a different story. But if you just talk about practice squad or like playing the spring league, I'll play in spring leagues all day.
When I interviewed Jordan Love back in USFL season 2, he said that this was his dream job because he was like, I get to go play for the Michigan Panthers, and then I get to go be on a practice squad. Then I get to go back to the Michigan Panthers and then be on a practice squad. That I get to just play football year round. But I do think it's interesting that you're saying I would choose UFL over practice squad. Now I understand QB, backup QB, that's a whole different beast. As Daniel Tosh said in his stand up, why would you not? That's the best position in football. You're getting paid a lot of money to be there, hold the tablet, show them what's going on, and if the guy goes down, you get to come in and be the hero. I don't know why you wouldn't be that. Want to be, but you say that practice squad versus UFL. A few years ago, spring football was not at that level where people would say, I would choose this spring league over a practice squad. So the fact that your mindset is now shifting to that is very good and shows a bright future to me and probably everybody watching this that spring football is here to stay. I mean, heck, they're talking about expanding next season and 2 more teams in the next season. This is crazy, man. But I assume you want to stay with Arlington because familiarity, which brings me to my next question. What is it like going into season 3? This is your 3rd season with the Renegades, kind of 2.5, but we'll say 3. And you have a lot of the same coaches, the same head coach, a lot of the same players are re-signing that are around you on the field. This is the most consistency you had since, Kevin Gilbride on the Guardians going into the Jousters? Otherwise, you're basically starting fresh every year. What is it like preparing now compared to that with a lot of familiar faces going into the next season?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that's really what separated me last year, right? It was really the first time. I mean, yes, you can say the Jousters with Kevin Gilbride, but again, I was only there 3 or 4 weeks, and then got traded, right, or the league shut down. But really, the last time I had a full year to study was college, and especially the type of player I am, I like to know where everybody's at. I like to know the timing and get a feel for everything, right? The playbook, being able to spit the plays out, knowing the checks on every play, and just getting comfortable in the system. That's my style of play. And I think everybody saw it last year. And now, again, I think this year it'll even be a little bit more different because, again, last year was still, I had half a year under my belt coming in. Now I'm going to have a year and a half under my belt before coming into this year. And that's a whole nother ball game, right? Now we can expand on a lot of different things. We have our same receivers coming back, tight ends. It's going to be – it's a lot more fun when you're a lot more flexible and being able to do a lot of different things on offense. So I think we'll be able to do that really good this year.
You had talked about Bob Stoops. One of the biggest things about him as a coach is his ability to galvanize a team together. What do you think will be most important from a coaching standpoint for him going into season 3 than it was going into season 1 as far as galvanizing?
Yeah, I'm going to say this about Coach Stoops. He just knows what to say at the right time, every time. I mean, that's what makes him great. I mean, he just knows what to say and how to get the best out of each individual. He knows how to talk to individual players to get the best out of them. One guy, he might have to get after him, right? Another guy, he might pull him to the side. But that's the type of leader and communicator he is, and that's why he's been so successful. And I think this year, I trust whatever he says because, he's done it. And I think his big message is probably going to be, hey, our first year we kind of came in champs thinking, hey, we're going to come over here, walk through the league, this and that. It's not the case. It's hard to win in pro football, as you see. Last year, how we lost some of those games was unreal. Last possession, just ball didn't bounce our way, and, we easily could have been 8-2. So honing in on the details each and every day and having that underdog mindset now, right? We're not the champs. Nobody's circling Arlington Renegades. We got to beat them, right? No one's doing that this year. So I just think that, again, the details each and every day and honing on your craft, trusting the guy next to you. And I mean, I think we'll make it happen.
That is a very it's kind of I remember back in high school, each season when we'd go in, we'd have a different kind of mantra because there's a different story to each season. So
Yeah.
for you as a player to be able to realize that before you even get into camp, before Bob Stoops comes in and says, "Hey, this is, our vibe this season, our mindset," you realize, "Hey, we are not the returning champ. We are not getting circled. We need to come out and we need to circle ourselves, say, hey, we are someone to beat." I think that's really cool. And another thing that you can see, as you're progressing, as the King of Spring, moving on, that is a maturity thing that maybe you wouldn't have said back in the day, but now you're the Tom Brady of spring football. So, something that I really liked and thought was cool was one of your counterparts, AJ McCarron on the Battlehawks, said that a big reason he kept playing and that he came down to spring football was that he wanted his kids to see him play. I know there's a bunch of championship photos of you holding your girls, your wife. How much of playing in the UFL for you and how much is for them and having their father's legacy back in their mind?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. There's nothing that makes me smile more than, seeing them after the game and hugging and Dada, you did so well. Dada, you guys won. Or I mean, just little comments like your daughter says, like, man, like you're 4 or 5 years old and you're paying attention and you're understanding what dad's doing. I mean, it's a proud feeling. I want to be the best that I can be for them. And even when they don't go to games, right? Like I remember seeing, all the time my wife sends me, like if we're on an away game and whatever reason they can't make it, she'll send me a video of everybody getting together and, watching me play. And I mean, watching those videos is, man, it's gold. Watching the smile on my daughter's face, my family, my mom, my brother. I mean, everybody that's there, they just have such a good time during my games. And that's another big reason why I'm still playing.
I love that. As someone who is very close to my parents, part of the reason I even stuck with football before I found the love myself was because I wanted to make my dad proud. So when I watch players in these professional leagues being fantastic role models, talking about how much it's to see them, it warms my heart, and I really do love that. My last just formal question that I have written is: you've played a ridiculous amount of football that we have established, but I want to get very specific now. One moment in time, one throw, your entire career, what is your most memorable throw that you have ever thrown?
Oh man, that's deep. Okay.
Let's get deep.
Most memorable. Um, that's tough. There's so many. You can't pinpoint one. One that comes to mind right now is the championship game in 2023, where we just, I mean, drove down the field and I kind of stepped up in the pocket, kind of like stepped back, stepped up, and then saw Tyler Vaughn in the back of the end zone, made it happen. We went up 14-0 on DC. That was a pretty cool feeling.
All right, so we get XFO. It's hard when you talk to someone who has such a prolific career because I don't know where you're going to pick, right? Is it going to be your championship in college, your first professional, going to be a touchdown in a championship game? That's pretty cool. I assume that we're going to hear all about these in your new book.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, Luis, you have a new book coming out. It's the Spring King, correct?
Correct. The Spring King.
Spring King coming out later in March. Very excited to see it. Hopefully, in the next couple weeks, we're going to see a cover. We're going to get a date when the book is going to come out. Luis, what are you most excited about with this?
I'm just excited to share my story and impact people. I mean, I just really think, and not even just athletes, but I just think there's a lot of, quote unquote, people that live a normal life they can take from all the adversity I went through. Because everybody goes through adversity. Everybody does. And it's how you handle it, in my opinion, is that it just makes your life a lot easier on how you handle it and how you go about it and your perspective on how you think about certain things. And again, it's not how fast you or excuse me, it's not how many times you fall, it's how fast you get up from the fall. So, yeah, I'll just say that I'm just excited to impact people.
I know that there are a lot of Luis Perez faithful fans out there. Very excited about it. Last fun question. what is the craziest fan experience that you have had in spring football?
Oh man. Okay.
Well, I know spring fans are actually, so I know there could be.
Let's see. I remember after the first game in the USFL, um, we were walking out after the game we had just lost, and we're walking back to the tunnel, and I had like these like three teenage boys just like hop the fence like from the stadium, jump down, and like just rush me. And we're just like on a video. I don't know if they were on live or something. I don't know what was going on. But they were just recording me taking pictures, and the security guards had to come and like, hey, you gotta go, get out of here, type of deal. But yeah, that's the first time that's ever happened to me. That's probably the craziest or that I can think of right now.
Heck yeah, man. You got people jumping fences, breaking rules just to come over and get a quick video with you, get you on there live. That is awesome. Luis, thank you so much for coming on our show. Big fan and have been a big fan for a long time. Like I said, from the very beginning, the draft of the USFL, my friend told me, you need to get Luis Perez on it. So the fact that I finally got you here, I got to sit down with you for a quick 30-minute interview. Not too bad, not too painful. Luis, thank you so much. Any parting words to your fans, to everybody from the Spring King?
Yeah, check out the book. It's going to come out late March, like you said. It's going to be sold on Amazon. And then come check us out at Choctaw Stadium, March 29th. Go Renegades.
Yes, sir. Go Renegades. And that's coming from the Roughnecks guy, but it's hard not to like you, Luis. So I always got to root for you. It's bittersweet when we play you, but thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This has been UFM Presents Interview with Luis Perez. Check out that book. Hey, guys, thank you so much for watching the UFM United Football Media. If you like that, please make sure to like and subscribe. Also, if you want more videos, you can check them out on our channel over here. The best one for you is right here. And then if you like mine, the rest of my playlist is right here. Thank you, guys, and I hope to see you next time.